people don't want to change, old habits. It's our comfort zone. It's where we feel the most safest. We got to humble ourselves. We don't want to be made fools. We want to just be who we are. We're like, oh, no, I can do it. But there's nothing wrong with being a fool and, checking your ego and know what you can and cannot do so you can progress into the level that you can.
All right, we ready to go?
I'm trying not to anymore.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Creative Culture. It's your boy, NEMO, with the boys, of course. Y'all want to introduce yourselves real quick?
What's up? It's Aaron.
What's up, guys? It's Joey.
And we are back. And today is a very special one because I got to meet this guy during the pandemic. He's been a really good friend.
I've heard a lot about this guy.
Same.
Yeah.
Since for the last, I want to say, month and a half, we've kind of grown a pretty cool friendship. I think I would trust this guy with my daughter.
Wow.
Like, he's that good of a guy. His gym, impeccable. He is a gym owner here in Fresno. He just made his debut back with wrestling here in Fresno as well. He's a Fresno native. Without further ado, give it up to Brandon.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
I'm excited to have you because we've had a lot of conversations at the gym, and now I get to bring my boys to have a conversation that we would have at the gym.
Heck yeah.
And we're
Yeah,
excited
it's
just to
exciting.
meet you, man. This guy always talks about you. Like, we got to meet this guy.
Yeah.
It's nothing bad, I promise.
Everything bad. No.
So yeah, just to get started, just to introduce yourself to, our listeners, viewers, just a little bit about who Brandon is.
I'm Brandon Pinion, born and raised right here in Central California, Grizzly City, Fresno. So it's been a blessing. Grew up just like everybody else in Fresno, poor, hungry, driven. Trying to do what I need to do. But life's ended up here, and everything I try to do in life, I just try to make sense of it. So
Yes, sir.
just going into it.
So you went to high school in Fresno and everything?
So I grew up in a small town, Easton, which is.
I went to Washington Union.
So did I.
Yeah.
So Washington Union, from out there, what class?
I graduated in 2012.
Oh man, so he's a baby. So that's it. I'm 03, so I was there the last year that Deshaun Stevenson was there.
Oh, Deshaun
So
Stevenson.
Deshaun, Demetrius Porter, Chris Jeffries, used to play pickup ball with them
So cool.
during practice. I never
Crazy.
played with them or anything like that. So, but yeah, I was there. Get to know everybody. It's a small town with sometimes people get in this small-minded mentality, but there's life is whatever you make of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how people feel like they get trapped in little small towns like that?
yeah.
I feel like that happens a lot.
They never leave.
Right?
Even. Yeah.
And then having that hunger to get out of there. Did you play ball in high school? Or?
So, grade school, I think everybody plays everything.
Yeah.
High school, freshman year, actually, I legally, technically, went to a different high school. So I went to Buchanan part of my freshman year.
You said legally.
I used to run really fast. So they were like, oh, you're fast, man. So we got to come over here. I ran cross country for them.
Yeah.
I used to, back in the day, it was a little bit different, but had a 5:15 mile. My sub time was about 20 minutes. I was pretty fast on my 3 mile.
Wow.
But at that time, I was only about 115 pounds soaking wet.
Okay.
It was a little bit different. Now, I've grown up and gained some weight and changed my body.
Yeah.
But as a freshman, I was super tiny, super skinny. All I did was run. And then I came back into Washington Union District. I ended up wrestling my junior year.
Okay.
And I
Who's your coach, if you don't mind me asking?
Zink.
Bro.
Zink. That's the man.
I know. I've always been there since Moses.
Yeah.
He's a wrestler. He was a wrestler too.
So Zink was an amazing guy. I love that guy. Like, looking back at it in high school, I think I had so all my PE teachers, which was Zink, and then before him in grade school was a guy named Mr. Metropolis. They were amazing people. So they just, the way they coach us and the way they were kind of assholes to us, they treated you like shit, but they cared about you.
Yeah.
So there was no some of the cancel culture now.
It was different, man.
It was different, and
Yeah.
nobody was never laid a hand on anybody. Wasn't disrespectful,
Right.
but he was like, get your shit together. Get your head in the game, and it kind of propelled me to
Some of the
where I'm
best
at today.
coaches, man.
Yeah.
Those are all my
I
favorite
think,
coaches.
in my opinion,
Yeah.
those are some of the best coaches to have. He talks like that to us and
It's the only way.
he doesn't mean it in a bad way, but it's
Yeah.
like what he says is like I'm doing like it motivates you to want to push through.
It does.
Like it does, you know. And I don't want someone talking to me all soft and
Yeah, no.
cute.
Now these kids, different breed, man. New generation.
Come on,
like,
lift up the 10 pounds.
It's just different. Nobody can handle Zink now.
No.
So he's my
I love
inspiration
Zink,
for how
Yeah.
short I want to wear my shorts. That's it. Yeah, he's inspiration.
Oh, he got short shorts.
He got short
Boy,
shorts.
that boy got some.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you how
yes.
short.
Cheeks hanging out the back. That's not good.
Yeah.
A lot of other stuff hanging out.
So going into you did you were wrestling junior year, so
Oh, you only wrestled junior year.
So yeah, I wrestled junior year. I wrestled when I came back. I wrestled freshman year. I pretty much got my ass handed to me. I was only 115 pounds, and then by the time junior year came, I was 165. So I was at the 165. I've always been lean. It's always been hard for me to keep on weight. So I wrestled at. I technically wrestled at 155s, and then I did it part of my junior year. Just wasn't really feeling it. The whole mentality of because I always want to be a pro wrestler, so Zink's just like it's not what we do.
Yeah.
And then also was it Coach Napier? I don't know if he was there anymore for you. I had Sam Hammer and I had another guy named Moses Perez. He was probably he was a really amazing person and a friend and kind of like a life coach. And he was also a wrestling coach, but he was really good at what he did. And he believed in me. He knew what I wanted to do, and he's like, "No, you're a good kid, man. Just if this isn't your thing, and it's not pro wrestling, you don't have to go crazy." But I did what I did, and I had fun with it, and just took it from there.
So you wanted to jump. You wanted more like pro wrestling, what that is and what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, as a kid, my whole goal was this whole. I didn't have a small-minded mentality. I believe that sky's the limit. So I'm like, I want to be a personal trainer, and I want to be pro wrestler, and I'm going to be this pro wrestler one day, and I'll make millions of dollars, and then I'll be a personal trainer for the stars, and that's how I'll be able to live my life and do this and do that. And very quickly you find out as you get older, that things aren't. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
You have to have a job, and having a job and trying to figure shit out. It's it's a lot different growing up, especially in a small town. It's cute when you're trying to be a pro wrestler and you're in high school and you're still trying to figure stuff out, but as you get older, your mom's like, "Hey, mijo, what are you gonna do? Like, you gonna get a job? What are you're gonna do something?" But now I've done pretty well for myself as far as trying to figure stuff out and kind of just take it step by step.
What was like the first step in doing pro wrestling? When did that start for you?
That's a great part because I don't even know how you start that process.
So the whole process, I used to look at a lot of stuff online, and I used to Google stuff. And at that time, I think the internet boom was like happening between like 2000 and 2003. So internet started to become available when I was in high school, and when I was supposed to be doing work, I'm sitting there Googling wrestling schools. I actually looked up one of the first wrestling schools was called WWA4, and it was in Atlanta. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna move to Atlanta. I'm gonna buy a van, and I'm just gonna live out of the van and travel all the way to Atlanta and just live my dream. That was it. Because I see all these guys like Mick Foley, Terry Funk, and that's how they live their dream.
Yeah.
And so just thinking about that, and then very quickly I started looking at these costs and adding up. I was like, I don't think I can live out of the van. I'm gonna have to like take showers or do something.
Yeah.
So there used to be this commercial that came on TV, and it was called NAW. It was North American Wrestling. And I had seen, like Chris Jericho had passed through there,
Really?
Lance Storm, and all these other guys that had passed through the company. They've worked from at some point, and I was like, man, I'm gonna call this up. So I remember I put it off, and I was still like 16, 17. I turned 18, and then I got a job. I found out like the hard way how hard life is. You have to do stuff in life.
Very hard.
So, I started doing my thing and kind of saving up some money to figure out how I'm going to go to this wrestling school. And then I actually started a job, and I worked for a manufacturing company, and I was doing pretty good. I was moving up, and I was doing my thing. And then my heart just told me, like, you should pro wrestle. You need to pro wrestle. That's your lifelong, that's your destiny, your calling. So I remember even going in at that time, because I remember interviewing for that logistics job. And I told him the truth, I want to work here. And this all ties in together. I remember getting hired at the logistics job. And in my interview, they ask you, there's a couple questions that my boss told me, like at the time, the supervisor to officially be hired, he was like, they're going to ask you a couple different questions. Usually asks you, how many white undershirts do you own? And He's like, the answer is you tell him, because the guy's from Israel, his name was Bookie, and he doesn't want you to answer how many you have. He wants you to say, what does this pertain to me getting hired at the job? Because he wants to make sure you're paying attention. Mm-hmm. So he was trying to help me ace it, and he was like, and then he asked you if if he gave you $1 million, what would you do with it?
Yeah.
And just tell him, you give back to charity. He's trying to make me look good and everything. And I was like, well, I'm just going to tell him the truth. And then he's like, the other one, he asked you about your dream job. He's all, just tell him, just tell him about your pro wrestling. It has nothing to do with what we do, and you're never going to do it. So we sat there in the interview, and then I told him, he's like, what do you want to do for a dream job? And I was like, I want to be a pro wrestler. And he was like, pro wrestler? I was like, yeah. And he's just so soft-spoken and calm. I was like, yeah. He's like Hulk Hogan? And I was like, yeah, like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man. He was like, he just laughed. He was like jumping off the top rope and doing this, doing that. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. And he was just kind of laughed it off, and they thought it was really sweet. It was just like, because no one had ever said that in his interview. They liked who I was. By
surprise.
Got hired, and then from that standpoint, I was working there for about 6 to 8 months, and then the wrestling school that I used to see on TV came back on commercial. I was like, oh, you know what? I got to call this place. So I made that gut decision, and I was moving up to the company doing my thing, and I remember talking with Bookie and my supervisor at the time. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm still going to work here, but I'm going to deny some of these advancements that I'm getting here because I'm going to go pro wrestle. And they kind of laughed. I thought I was joking. I was like, no, I'm serious. I'm going to pro wrestle. Yeah. So they were upset with me, and they're like, you just stay over there in the corner and just do your job. But it was good. I ended up calling the phone number, and it was crazy because the phone number I called was the phone number that I saw on TV. And I called the company, and a guy named Mike answered. And Mike was like, hello? And I was like, is this the pro wrestling school? I was all scared. I'm usually pretty confident what I'm doing. He was like, how'd you get my number? And I was like, well, I saw it on TV. And he was like, well, they're not supposed to get my number out. And then he was like, you know what? Call this guy. So I ended up calling this other guy. His name was Brandon as well. Kind of guided me and directed me. And then they told me to come down. And it turned out the guy's number I had ended up being my official trainer. So Mike Rain in the business started training me to get into pro wrestling. We connected, and then we all went to this like student tryout. Like we all got to meet the trainers and see what happened. And that was that 07, summer of 07? The rest is history after that. Like I said, I made the phone call, started making things happen. I remember that was the last time I ever played a video game system. I sold my Xbox 360 for it. Yeah, I was a big gamer, and like I said, I'm not the best gamer, but I used to love playing video games, and then I got rid of that, got rid of some other things, and I was like, I got to pay for this wrestling school. It was a do or die. So that's how I kind of got started in the business. Started working for a company called North American Wrestling. That's where Mike trained us. There was probably about 15 of us that started at once back in 07. Got our feet wet, and it was good, man. It was a breath of fresh air to be able to start doing what I enjoyed doing. So it was good, man.
Like it was like your dream was like closer than you thought it was, type of thing, type of feeling.
It's like I think everybody, when you're young, and going from like teenage to 18, 19, 20, you're still trying to figure out who you are. And deep down inside, I knew who I was, but you get a job, you get a car, you start having to make payments, you start living life, and you start being a part of everyday society, which is what we're supposed to be doing. But it wasn't fulfilling. And I'm like, I want to do more. I want to do, I want to jump off the top rope. I want to come out of the curtain. I don't know how many people just envision themselves. And I have a buddy, Omar, and he's a local rapper here in Fresno. And we talk crap all the time because he's been able to make a splash in the rap industry here in Fresno. And we talk because it's like nobody else grows up looking in the mirror like talking shit to themselves or rapping. That's and funny. We had similar type stories because it's like I sat there in the mirror, cutting promos, talking about how I'm going to wrestle on Monday Night Raw and doing this, doing that. And he was like, bro, I did the same stuff. I was just rapping. Like it's just almost the same type of storyline, I guess you could say. But, that was kind of how that curated and just going from there. But living my dream or getting closer to it and accomplishing it was a good milestone.
Yeah. What was that feeling like at maybe the first day you got called into practice, and there's all these other wrestlers there maybe trying to do the same dream?
So it's you very quickly, like the class that I was in, there was a lot of notable people. As far as notable, like we all just clicked. Everybody just came in, and all of us, we just clicked. Everybody was cool with each other. Everybody was like, hey, I'm so-and-so. We're all new. They hadn't been open for a while. And then when they reopened, like everybody was just gung-ho about it. And everybody played a unique position in people's lives as we grew with it. And I remember the first day they had this, they had been training us for about 30 days, and we're going to have this like open house just to talk about how the school's opening, yada, yada, yada. And nobody knew anything other than a couple lockups, and we were still kind of nervous and stuff. And that was like our first. That wasn't the first day. First day was pretty basic, but the first day that there was a few people there watching and seeing what we're doing. And I remember they were like, this guy showed up, and he was our world champion at the time. His name was Bobby Hart, and he was like, "Who wants to get in the ring?" And somebody was like, "Oh yeah, you guys learned how to lock up, right? So go slide in the ring." So I was all excited. I slid in the ring. And I remember when we went to lock up, like he locked up really hard, and he like elbowed me in my face, and he just bam hit me in my nose, and it's just he was stiff with what he did, and I had this bloody nose, and most people are gonna be like, not know what to do. I was all excited. I was like, man, my nose is bleeding. I'm a pro wrestler, like yeah, this is exciting. I was like, this is what I'm doing, and just to be able to say like, oh yeah, I got a hit in my face and I was bleeding. It's pro wrestling, like it's a part of like everything I'm doing. It was I think at that moment was when it became surreal. Yeah. That's when I knew that I was doing it. So
that's so cool, man.
It was
That's
exciting.
really
man.
cool. Did you grow up with like any, like who was the wrestlers you looked up to when you were growing up? Like I know for me it was Eddie Guerrero, like my favorite of all time. Rey Mysterio for me. Batista. He was like when I stopped watching, Rey Mysterio was kind of coming more on, but yeah, Batista. Who was that for you?
Growing up, I think the 90s were really big for me. I remember renting a bunch of VHS tapes at our local store. So I'm 37 now, and me and my brother would walk. I mean, at that time it felt like 40 miles, but I think it was probably about 2 miles to the VHS store when they still had VHS stores. Yeah. We used to rent from this little store called Raina's Video, and it's I think it's a donut shop now. So we used to walk all the way to the store. Yeah. Okay. So it's I don't know what they put a Subway there now too. Yeah. So that used to be a VHS store.
Okay. So the only gas station in Easton's at.
Yeah, the only gas station.
Yeah. They got like 3. They got 3. Okay.
And we rented these VHS tapes, and back then pro wrestling VHS was completely different than it is now. It was all gung ho, and they're just talking about everything. But I remember really falling in love with like Macho Man and the way he used to come out. And but the guy that stuck with me was Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels was like that was it for me. Like I seen him come out, and I'm like, yes, man, I want to be Shawn Michaels. Yeah. Like you grow up and then as I kept watching, falling in love with Eddie Guerrero. Yeah, and I'm like, man, Eddie and Shawn are just like these two people. And then as time grew and grew and grew, I loved Jericho. Yeah, and I was like, man, Jericho is he's slick on the mic. He knows what he's doing. He can wrestle. And the way I've kind of made my pro wrestling and how my styles, like it's not that you just try to mimic other people, but you kind of become a mold of what you grew up watching.
Right.
You bring it all together.
It's inspired you. So I think I think I am kind of like them, but at the same time, you mentally one way and physically another, but that's kind of what I aspire to be like and be like them. Yeah. And Eddie was a huge part of my life, and even I had a crazy story about Eddie. I loved him to death, and I was like, man, I want to be Eddie. I want to be Eddie and Jericho combined, but with like a splash of Shawn Michaels. So I'm like all three. Yeah. And Eddie Guerrero was doing an autograph signing here in Fresno, and I was all excited. I was in high school at the time, and I was like, man, I went, and it was at Carl's Jr. off of Blackstone and Herndon in River Park, and I was like, oh, I waited in line. I just remember it was so hot that day, and everybody was waiting, and I was there. I was probably there for at least 2 hours before they came out and made an announcement. Said Eddie's running late. He's showing up. He's going to show up. And I was like, man, Eddie's coming. And these people in front of me were like, dude, it's hot out here. Everyone was just sweating bullets because it's Fresno weather. It's like 145 degrees. Yeah. And we're just sitting there waiting. I'm like, hey, I'll buy you a drink if you say my spot in line. And they say my spot, and the line wrapped around all the way to like, it was like whatever that new kid store is. And it was just probably about 400 or 500 people out there. waiting for Eddie, and then Eddie shows up an hour after they announced him, and I was all excited, and we're excited, and we're waiting in line, and he was probably there for about 30 minutes, and then he had a jam, and then the limo came on the street, and they picked him up off of Blackstone. He ran to the car, and I was so disappointed. And I was just like, I started boycotting him on TV. I was like, I'm not gonna watch this guy, and I regret it because very soon after that he ended up passing away.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's one of my favorite wrestlers that I was, was kind of butthurt over not seeing him. And you're a kid, you don't know better, but it was a little bit different at the time.
So you would say 90s was probably the best for wrestling in general?
I think looking at it, and I can be, not to try to be so biased at times, but I think every genre or every when you grow up is the best time for everybody, because if when I look at it, when I grew up, the 90s were great, and then for somebody else, you guys had Batista, you guys had some that was already
John Cena,
Batista.
That was already by the time that I'm in the ring, so I'm like, I could wrestle with these guys, I can do what they do. But no, everybody has their own times, and I can go back and really pick a different match from every era and be like, oh, that was great, or this was great. So
it's like you talking about the 90s and all that. I see your T-shirt. And even that, it's of a three-peat, just like when Michael Jordan won his three-peat.
Exactly.
And maybe to transition just a little bit off of wrestling for now. High Five Fit Club. You obviously have to be fit to be in wrestling. Well, some don't, but in general, like they're still like they still lift and they still work out.
Super strong.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about just your fitness journey, because you've been fit, like you said, your whole life?
So I would like to think that I'm fit. I could always be fitter. Everyone's always like up against the wall with fitness, but where High Five Fit Club pretty much came about was, 2015. We were doing this 6-week challenge, and we were like, I had a lot of members at the time, and we were talking about like, what are we gonna call ourselves? I used to work for this local gym, and we were like, we wanted a cool name, and I was like, I threw some names around. I was like, High Five Hit Squad, High Five Hit Club, and I was then High Five Fit Club just stuck. And when it stuck, that's when it was just like, this is it. Looking at it, I named us, and then we were like, oh, that's our cool name, and we had this little circle logo, and it had a little barbell, and it looked real cute, and people liked it, and it was good. It was okay.
You used to have a picture of that?
I have a picture of it. I gotta find it, but it's on my laptop. But no, it was the original logo, and that's how we pretty much came about. And being in fitness, not knowing I was gonna end up there, but years prior, I was like, I want to be in shape and pro wrestling, travel and do all these things, and I've always been in the mentality of working out and being active.
Right.
That led me to almost every job I have. I'm standing or moving around, doing something, talking with people, and it's been a blessing. So being healthy has pretty much helped me with my life in general as well.
Right.
And then coming into High Five Fit Club, with the way the business kind of grew legs on its own, we became High Five Fit Club. I worked for one of the local gyms, and then it was what it was. Mm-hmm. And then people just started gravitating towards it. And then as High Five Fit Club grew, I ended up changing the logo. And I was like, the logo ended up being like a mesh of a bunch of things I watched growing up. And I'm like, man, I sat there like, I was like, I need to start a movement. Like, how can I you just don't start one. It just kind of happens.
Right.
And people are like, we want more of this fitness. We want, we love your mentality. We love the way you talk to us. We love the way you're doing things. So how can, they didn't ask me to start. I was just like, all right. And I love designing, and I drew my whole life, and I'm sitting there just drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. And, I'm like, I came up with this logo, and I feel like it's a mixture of like the Nasty Boys and like NWO, DX, like Four Horsemen. Like it's just a blend of all of them. Yeah. And I was like, I want it, like spray paint. Because, at that time I was just like, the NWO, and they would spray paint stuff. I'm like, that's what
sick.
I want.
It looks sick. Yeah.
So I took that and I ran with it, and then we changed our logo. And we changed our logo, and it became that scratch writing that we have now, that kind of edgy look.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, the company I work for was like, they called me into a meeting, like, what are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean, what am I doing? They're like, no, what, like, the owner saw it and he doesn't like what you're doing. I'm like, well, I'm not doing anything than just doing fitness.
Mm-hmm.
And we had just, they told us to come up with names and, you know, start like little rallies and stuff. And it just grew feet on its own. And then we became High Five Fit Club, and that got more attention than anything else. So I was like, we ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then looking back now, years later, I'm like, we are High Five Fit Club.
And was it like a class that you were leading and they just kind of followed you?
Yeah, so it was a class that I was leading. I used to help group manage this group training, and we evolved. And like we just kept evolving. And there's at the end of the day, when it comes into fitness, there's just so much available that you don't need everything. And honest to God, as I run my business, we're not a business for everybody. I'll tell everybody that when they show up to my doorstep, I'm going to be honest. We're not for everybody. We cater to busy people with busy lives that actually want to see some type of result in what they're doing. And if I'm a business for everybody, that's impossible, because you can't cater to everybody. And that's where people really have it kind of mixed up in business. Like, how am I going to cater to Mrs. Jones that she just wants to do X, Y, Z, and I don't do that? I'm not going to change what I do already just to fit her mold.
Right.
I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And we apply, standard strength conditioning into, some daily methods with some functional training, and it ends up being High Five Fit Club. We can cater to individual needs within inside a group setting, and we make it super easy to understand. And a lot of our clientele, I would say, is probably 30 and above. And I'm not against having the younger clientele, but we get some busy people that have, these day jobs that, they're 35, they're married, they have a couple kids, and like, how do I fit fitness into my lifestyle? And that's where I come into play to be able to show them how they can do that.
Yeah.
And it grew feet on its own, and we're High Five Fit Club. We cater to the ones that really want it. And there's nothing wrong with the ones that aren't with us. They're finding what they need from that, whether it's a HIIT training or there's the cycling clubs they have around here, or even running. There's a lot of different things for different people. We're a good blend of a little bit of everything, but it's really fun to do.
What would be like your main, like, I know there's there's CrossFit out there, there's just your typical powerlifting gyms. What would you kind of categorize, if you can, like what High Five is?
It's
You said functional, I know, but
so I think everybody abuses the word functional too. HIIT training, but we're strength conditioning, and the way I see it is everybody's an athlete. The way that Michael Jordan trained, there's no reason why I can't train anybody that way now. Of course, if you're a 55-year-old female and you need a little bit of modifications, or maybe you're the 55-year-old male that needs a bunch of modifications, you can always scale things down into their perspective to help them. But what's worked for so many years, it should still be working. The biggest pandemic I see is that everybody wants to use all these tools and they really don't know how to use them. Everybody has an iWatch and everybody has these heart rate monitors, but what are you tracking? And are you utilizing it for what it's for?
Right.
Other than you're like, I have an iWatch, but I just check my texts. Or it shows you that you burned 700 calories, but what are you doing with it?
Right.
Yeah.
So, but just to kind of, if I had to make it simple, I say strength conditioning, which can be kind of confusing at times. And that's where I say, come on down, check us out, see what we do. But we'll apply methods that work for you and your busy lifestyle, so you can get in the results that you want to get into.
Yeah.
So
I've already seen where my legs have gotten a lot tighter.
You've been telling me.
There's certain areas of my body where I do feel a little more tight since I've been doing what we've been doing. And I've just noticed it's a lot more mental than it is physical.
Oh, yeah.
And he preaches that a lot. You kind of preach that a lot, where you like, it's on your mind. Like, if you can't, and you always say, I want to get you to this threshold.
Yeah.
Can you share that a little bit? I like that mentality.
So there's a lot of people out there, and I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and one of the guys was talking about how he tried to really segregate the way personal training and coaching is. And he was like, personal trainers know everything in the human body, and they know, where the bicep attaches, how you can, mix sets with reps.
Yeah.
And then he said, and then the coach's job is to be able to get, Mrs. Jones to do 3 extra reps. And I feel like that's kind of a wrong way to look at things, because the right person can do both.
Right.
And they can really be I'm a personal trainer, certified. I'm a certified coach. I can go on and on with this whole list of certifications, but being certified in my world, to be honest, doesn't mean shit.
Right.
You know, because everybody's certified, but are you qualified? What have you done prior to get yourself to this next level?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it comes into like that mentality, like he was saying, you know, if you need to be pushed to your threshold, everyone has a different threshold. And that's where it becomes like an individual program, because if I have, you know, NEMO over here, and I'm like, hey, I need you to execute 8 reps within this time frame because that's going to be best for you.
Yeah.
Because I've seen you do 7 or 8, but I need you to hit 8 every time. And then little Johnny over here is brand new. I'm like, I need you to work on 4 because his 4 is going to match his 8. And that's the intensity level that I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Mrs. Jones just got off of work late and she's having a bad day, you know, right now I don't need her to go all out. I just need her to put in work. So that threshold changes for everybody in the room and depending on what your goals are and the stimulus we're looking for. But that's where you kind of individualize and cater to that individual so they're not overdoing it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people get confused with this threshold where, you know, after seeing you work out, I'll know where you need to be. And then there's where you need to be or what you can do versus where your comfort zone is.
Okay.
And a lot of people leave a lot on the floor because they go to their comfort zone. They think that's their threshold.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to push it with 8 reps because that's what I did last time, and that's what you're comfortable with. How about we do 10? How about we do 12? Or maybe we go less. We do a little bit more weight.
Yeah.
Whatever that is for that individual.
And
So
you're experienced enough to like know like NEMO, you can get 8. Like I know
Yeah.
you can. Yeah, that's really good.
No excuses, Nemo.
I know.
I know he was telling
He'll
me
look
that.
Uh,
at me.
He's
He'll
telling me
look
that.
at me. He don't have to say nothing. He just looks at me. I'm like, all right, I gotta go.
That's why your legs were jelly the other day.
I couldn't even. Yeah, we ain't gonna talk about that. I
No,
couldn't even.
I
I
think
couldn't even walk right that day.
You're right on with, you know, there's everyone's certified, but I'm like, I can't go with someone who's got all the certifications but can't push me the way I need to be pushed.
No, and it's and that's why I said it's a good balance of both. Like, you know, I'm not for everybody, and that's completely okay. You're drinking a C4 over there, and I'm drinking a Bang.
Yeah.
So they both are supposed to do the same thing.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what you enjoy, and this is what I like, and
Yeah.
that's okay. But a lot of people feel like just because it's not for them, they got to be against it. You know, I'm like, why?
really?
Like, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's fitness. Like,
I can see that.
you know, somebody coming into my territory, they're like, well, we don't cycle here, so we don't like cycling clubs. I'm like, no, cycling's cool. It's for
Yeah.
them. Like, it's for those individuals that enjoy it. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
if
Cycle
you can,
all you want.
yeah, go running. Like,
Have you faced that, or like people not liking your methods, so they
well,
like
it's not that people don't like it. I think people don't want to be told what they need.
Right.
And you know, when you meet with me, I'm going to be honest with you. So if
Yeah.
you tell me, hey, coach, I'm looking for a gym that's going to get me in shape, and we do your body fat and your X amount of weight over body fat, and you got to bring that down. And let's say you're not healthy, you're not eating right. The reason why you hire me is to get you from point A to point B, you know, in the fastest way possible. Because of course you could Google, you can YouTube, you can do everything online, and you can get there your way, but it's going to take you a whole lot longer. The reason why you hire a coach is to get you from point A to point B a lot faster,
Right.
so you can save time.
Right.
And the biggest thing in life is time.
right.
So why would you waste an extra, 5 to 6 years of your life trying to do what you can do by yourself?
Yeah.
Just hire a coach and get there, in 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
So the only problems that I've ever faced are just ones that people don't want to be told what they need. So if you met with me and you're unhealthy, I'm like, hey man, this is the route we should be going because we want to drop your body fat. We want to get you in shape. We want to make you healthy. That's our first goal. And you're like, nah, I just want to look buff. I'm like, well, that's cool, but how do we get you healthy?
Yeah.
And people only want what they want. And to be told that, that's where the friction comes, because they think that they need something, or they've been told something for so long,
Yeah.
they can't change their mentality on it.
That's even athletes. Like I've worked with people when I used to play sports and stuff. I'm like, bro, you're such a better athlete than what you're giving, and you're not even, like you said, comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like they hit the cap of the comfort, don't go past that. But I'm like, I'm working harder than you, and you're a better athlete than me. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand how people can't. Why do you think people get stuck at that comfort cap?
I mean, besides just being comfortable,
Yeah.
it's we go back into our habits. So it comes from habit, and people don't want to change, old habits. It's our comfort zone. It's where we feel the most safest. People, if I'm like this perfectionist, I always want to do better than I did last time. I'm so hard on myself with what I do in life, and it's hard to look at reality sometimes. And we got to humble ourselves. We don't want to be made fools. We want to just be who we are, and we're like, oh no, I could do it. But there's nothing wrong with being a fool and, you know, checking your ego and knowing what you can and cannot do so you can progress into the level that you can. I mean, if we talk sports wise, you know, there's so many athletes that are phenomenal on the football field that are, you know, wide receivers, but how many of the veterans are rerunning the routes? How many of them are studying the route running, you know, the little twists and turns, the things they used to do to get noticed by a team versus they got comfortable because they're, oh, I'm already a big player now. I get paid. I can do what I need to do versus the ones that are still trying to get there. The work ethic shows long-term, but people we feel safe. And I think that's the easiest thing because we either feel safe because we don't want to get hurt or, you know, we feel safe because, you know, we don't want to go into a place where it's scary. You know, the scariest thing ever is to be somewhere where you're uncomfortable. And that's where the progress happens is, you know, outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Yeah.
That's real good. I've noticed a difference, even in Ashley, since we've been going here. We had a trainer at the gym that we were at, and there was no results on neither of us. Compared to now, dude, my wife has muscle now. Like her punches hurt.
Yeah.
It was your fault, Brandon. No, it's all right. How has starting H5? How is it helping others? How has it impacted your life?
Oh man, it feels great. You know, I think the biggest thing with High Five Fit Club is that, like, High Five Fit Club is we, and that's what I always say. Like somebody told me that, like, you always say we, because every time I talk, I'm like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we are doing this, we are doing that, and they're like, you never say I. I'm like, for what? I'm like, High Five Fit Club is us.
Yeah.
You know, it's us together. Good. It's what we are doing. It's how we are moving forward because we're a unit. We're together on everything. And honestly, like the easiest way to put it is that we're a real family. Real family has real problems and they all don't get along every single moment. You know, I can sit here and tell you that how many times I don't agree with my mom, hands down. Do I want anything negative to happen to her? No. I don't.
Right.
But do I agree with everything she says? No. You know, I have all these accolades when it comes into training, coaching, helping people lose body fat. And she's like, hey, I read this in Women's Health and it says I should be doing this. And I'm like, well, your son's a trainer. I can help you. And she's like, well, the book says this. We don't agree all the time. But, you know, that's how life goes.
Sounds like my mom, man.
You know,
moms in general, I guess.
And I'm sitting there, you know, trying to help her. And if I'm on the phone with her, she's just like, well, you know, I should be doing this. And I'm like, well, you got to start eating better. And then I hear this crumbling. I'm like, and while her hand's going into, you know, some Cheez-It bag. And I'm like, we can't do that. I'm like, well, it fits my calories. I'm like, well, calories still have to be dense. They still got to be this way and that way. And, but the High Five Fit Club feels really great to help people because we're, as our fitness facility, gym, our club, as you can call it, people really transform. And it depending on what they're there for, they can transform their bodies, they transform their mentality. People are getting better at everyday life. And I tell people all the time, and I remember telling NEMO this, and you guys, same thing. Come into my place. I don't care what you got going on. Figure out in your head what you want to get better at. Just think about it. You know, don't tell me about it. Just figure it out. Write it down on a piece of paper and see where you're at in the next 3 months. See if it's helped. And I promise you, you'll probably be a lot closer to it than you were the day you started. Whatever it is. And especially if it even if it doesn't have to do with fitness, your mentality starts changing because you start opening up to, you know, a wider perspective of the way things work. You know, that fitness changes your mentality to grow stronger. And helping people in everyday life, and so many people that have thought about quitting or, you know, coming back from injury. I have so many, you know, women that have just recently have kids. Helping, you know, pre and postpartum. It's been a real blessing, and people have been able to, they stay there because they enjoy what they're doing. And it's really feels good. That's
awesome.
And it's something about like just being disciplined too, and being consistent in what you're doing. You know, as I continue to attend, that discipline ends up spreading into all other areas in the life, huh?
Yes. So I would say discipline wise, it's hard. Like, you know, you always have to check yourself and figure out what you're going to do. But, you know, the consistency, showing up every day, you know, nobody tells me like, hey, you run a business, small business, you got to wake up and go do this. I'm like, nah, it's either in you or it's not.
Yeah.
So,
that's it right there. It's
Yeah.
in you or not.
Have you, I know for me, like working out and doing all that mentally, it like helps me like flip completely. Like when I don't work
You feel
out,
proactive,
right?
probably.
I think I don't know if it clears my head or if there's something going on chemically, but like my day starts better, or like anxiety wise, like that all kind of subsides when I'm working out daily. Is that something you see like on the regular, or can you speak to that?
For myself or for members?
For yourself, for your
yeah.
members, yeah.
No, I'd say for members, it really does a lot for them. A lot of them, they count on it. Since I've been running fitness over the last 7-8 years, it's I've worked every Thanksgiving, every Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, depending on where it falls on the day, on the weekdays. I work every holiday, major holiday. We have classes every one of those days. And for a lot of people, they need it. They want it. And that's what I've been able to do. And then people ask when I take a day off. It's on days that are not holidays. But no, being able to be there for them and see that, it's really rewarding because, they don't need to say please or thank you. Just having the class, it goes without being said of, I'm here for them and they get it too. And it's really cool to see people evolve in front of you.
Yeah.
So.
And it probably doesn't feel like work to you anymore either.
Oh, it still feels like work sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. It's good though, man. Like for the amount of effort I put in, I get back.
Yeah.
So it's really rewarding.
Good.
Because if I went somewhere else, I can go to Best Buy or Target, right? They pay like $500 an hour now.
Yeah.
Target, Target tax, yeah.
But it just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be helping people like I do now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Based off your observation, when people first come in and step into your gym, and if they show like some sort of commitment in the future, how long before they start actually like being committed to the gym, kind of building up that routine, being consistent, creating those good habits?
So this is going to be like a wild card. The way I'd say is that when new members come in, I treat everyone the same. Everyone comes in very open-minded, and everyone, usually wants to understand and learn. But I'd say every single new member that comes in is like a first-round draft pick. They're coming in with all these expectations, and it's either going to be a struggle for them to get started, or they start on their stride right away. And I think looking at it, they're a number one draft pick, so they're going to have some longevity. And sometimes after a while, there's very few that I've had that didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes people want it more than they mentally want it more at the time, but they're not ready for it. And they come back full circle and they end up being really good athletes. And I call everybody an athlete member fitness wise, but everybody just hits their strides at different times. They come in and I treat everyone like they're the number one draft pick, and they get their macros done. They get their fitness done. We do their body fat measurements, and they start getting on their fitness journey. And sometimes they hit a little, dip,
bump. Yeah.
and sometimes they don't. It varies, but they're all pretty excited to be there.
Yeah. Is there any big plans coming up with H5?
There's always big plans with H5. I think every time I talk, they're just like, it just keeps evolving. But with High Five Fit Club, we are doing some good things. We have been competing in some more comps lately. So competitions, we've done some local stuff here in the Central Valley. In October, we have another couple comps for singles, which will actually be in City Industry. So I'm putting that out there in the open. So we'll be doing that. When it comes into High Five Fit Club, what do we have on deck? We're doing a autism awareness WOD coming up.
Okay.
That's pretty exciting. We try to get involved with the community and what's affecting them.
You know
And
when that is?
that's going to be the 29th of April.
29th, okay.
So Friday night, it's going to be really fun. We get involved. I have several teachers that work with children with autism.
Oh, that's so cool.
We figure we've found a way to kind of give back. It's not usually crazy because we don't get a lot of donations. We promote it, but it's not, we don't go so heavy on you have to donate to work out with us. It's just more about bringing stuff like that to light. We also do breast cancer, and it's not to only pick certain things, but it's anybody that's been affected by stuff in our membership wise, because it'll help them out. And that's where I usually kind of get the ideas from. And then we're going to start doing a couple more 5Ks coming up. So we have that going on. We do the 5Ks because there's a lot of people that just enjoy walking. you can walk the 5K.
Yeah, I'll walk it.
He's gonna walk it with us.
I'll jog maybe a little bit. Let's talk about something that is happening. Unfortunately, you guys, it's passed already. But there was something that you actually brought up to me the one night. We were supposed to have a meeting for like 30 minutes. We talked for like 3 hours. Water and worship.
Oh yeah.
Can we please talk about that?
So,
I think that's probably one of the coolest things,
man. So we started. I have crazy ideas, and usually people think I'm pretty insane until it pans out. Like, oh yeah, that I like that from the beginning. So I started this thing called WAD and worship. So WAD in my world means workout of the day. Right. So the workout of the day, and we worship. My path with God has been, it's not messy, but it's been like this love-hate relationship. I'm honest as hell when it comes down to this.
Please.
You know, I pray when I need him. I don't pray when I don't need him. We argue on everything that I can imagine, as far as should I do this, should I not do this? Maybe I'm going to do it anyway. But this relationship that I built has been my journey. Yeah. And that's what I really found out through a guy that I know named Anthony. And Anthony is one of the local pastors here in Fresno. And I used to think that, you know, this relationship that you can have with God had to be like, you had to follow this rule and you had to be this way. And him opening my eyes to like, nah, man, you come as you are and just do you. You talk to him. That's your stuff, not mine. So being able to do that, and I had this crazy idea because the story I tell is the true story, and Anthony will say it's different. But I used to work at this big chain gym, and I'd be there, and he'd come in, and he'd see me, and he'd just point at me. I'm like, oh, man, have a blessed day today. And I'm like, that's freaking crazy, man. Why is he over here talking? Then, you know, every day, hey, brother, how are you doing, man? You know, I'm going to pray for you. I'm like, why? Like, what's going on? Like, why? Something I don't know. And then every day, I used to tell my boy Omar, bro, like, what's he got going on, man? He keeps saying he's, you know, doing this for me. So long after harassing me and telling me that I need to believe in God, you know, I was like, you know what, man, you know, I've come full circle and be like, you know, I've opened up my heart and kind of felt this way about it. So I have this idea. Let's do it. We're going to bring working out and worship together, and we're going to do like an hour workout, and it'll be for everybody. And when I say it's for everybody, we do tone it down to just have a straight body weight workout, maybe some light weights, because it's just about moving your body at that point. And then we go into a worship service afterwards, and he's been able to lead it, and then it grew legs on its own. And we do it bi-monthly. We haven't been at it for the past couple months because he's been busy with his job. He works at one of the local churches, so he's just been so bottlenecked with everything. Right. But so because the way he kind of brought me to this full circle and kind of believing in my own way and kind of understanding my own journey with them was, I was like, man, if he did that for me, and it's been so many years that he's been working on me, it's like, you know, what if we did that for everybody else? Because not everybody has to believe. Whatever you want to believe in is 100% okay with me. I'm not biased. Do you? It's your journey. But I don't think it can hurt. So we do this WAD and worship, and we get a workout in, we get a sweat. Then afterwards, we get to hear what Anthony says, you know, about the Word of God. Yeah. So it's just really bringing two really fascinating things together, and it grew legs on its own, and it's just kind of blowing up, and people, they look forward to it. Yeah. It's like, when are we going to do this again? And
that's good.
It's been good, man.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I like it. When he mentioned it to me,
I've never heard that.
He said, "Hey, I got this thing called WAD and worship." I was like, "Okay, tell me more."
You don't hear any of that stuff, worship, just in period, worship in gym, you know? Yeah. Anywhere.
And it's good because you're changing the narrative of what a gym should be. You're changing what worship looks like in a lot of sense. We all go to church, you know. We all go to church here. Yep. So for someone who has a gym, who owns a gym, says, hey, we're going to do this bi-monthly, and we're going to come, we're going to work out, get a sweat in, and then we're going to do worship right after. I think that is incredible. Where would you like to see that at? Because I think it's bigger than just your gym.
You know, I think it's not that I only want to see it there, but with the way we've been able to garner this WAD and worship, I'm really going to harness it down and grow it. I think one of the future steps with talking ahead without trying to reveal too much, we've talked about possibly going virtual as well for the worship part. So that way, a lot of our members that can't make it, you know, they can chime in virtually. be able to get on, online, and be able to see the worship part, so they can still have some type of service. The way we do it is really fun, and it's really exciting. And it's not to only keep it a high five, but I feel like the way we do things has been very organic, and we don't try to tip the iceberg. We keep doing it, and it keeps working. So why change the recipe just yet?
Yeah.
As we continue to grow, we keep inviting more and more and more to bring awareness to what we're doing. But we're not here to have 40,000 people at Water and Worship. We're just trying to help the ones that are showing up. And if you show up, that's all we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Give you a nice workout and, hear the word. And if it works for you, cool. If it doesn't, that's okay too.
I love that.
So is anyone outside of the gym invited to come to these events?
Yes. So we have some guest waivers online. Just make sure you fill out your liability form, and you guys are more than welcome. Like I said, we invite people, and we explain to everybody, like, we want everyone to work out together. And there's some members that come to the workout, they leave for the worship part. That's not their cup of tea. And, that's okay. There's still some of my best friends in that gym.
Yep.
And it's been amazing. Everyone's treated the same. But the biggest thing about the worship part is that you can't force it. But everyone's more than welcome. You guys should come check it out.
Oh, definitely want to.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. What is something? Sorry to cut you off. What is something that kind of keeps you moving forward and motivated, and inspired to build what you're doing and pursue that?
Honestly, probably Brandon Pinion keeps me motivated.
Yeah.
I compete against that guy every single day.
Yeah.
So being myself, like I everything's never good enough. It's like, I can be humble enough to accept things and like, be happy in the moment. But, I grew up watching Kobe and all these other, sports players that I look up to. And I'm like, Kobe wanted to beat himself every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to be just like that. Like, he's out there being a nice guy, but he's also competing against himself.
Hey, no
He
trouble.
wants to outscore what he did the night before. He's not looking at who else is on the court. He wants to outdid what he did. So that motivation right there, waking up and just knowing that I got to beat what I did yesterday is my drive. That's been me since I was probably, I don't know, since I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good.
That's awesome. And then with that, being healthy, being still fit, I'm gonna transition really quickly to one more thing. You just recently made a comeback to wrestling here in Fresno, because I have the shirt. Yes, I got it early. Sorry, guys, but these are sold out already, right?
Yeah,
they're gone.
They're gone.
They're gone.
We'll do another. There's gonna be another shirt coming out.
See,
Okay.
So,
but you just made a comeback. Let's talk about that real quick, man.
So, being where I'm at right now, I've never felt as healthy as I felt before. Opening up a business put some stresses on you. Being able to get back to what I've done before. I was gone for 2 years in the pro wrestling world. It was a good and bad thing. The bad thing was that, like, when you grow up loving stuff, it's hard to not do it all the time. But the good part was I was able to get my business, on its feet and start doing things. And being where I'm at now, I mean, I feel great. I'm excited to get back. I've talked to Mike as well. My trainer is still running things and running the show. We had a conversation and we talked about, when's the best time, and there was no better time than now, which was at their anniversary show. So I came back at the anniversary show, which I've done at their first anniversary show, and coming back has been really great. I'm excited for the future. The one thing I can say is that just competing against myself, I made it clear in the pro wrestling world, like I'm back, and I'm not there just to hang out, but I'm there to win. I'm there to have gold around my waist.
Come on.
And it's going to be good. And, with my perspective on life now,
Yes.
I put some people on notice when I was there. They know what's going on, and I'm everybody, even from here, everybody's on notice at Best of the West, and I am not there just to lay over, but the future is if we continue these little interviews and podcast, the future is to have a belt right here and to be able to talk about why I have this.
He's coming for the smoke.
No, and you have to have these aspirations to talk about it. So that way you can just, want to do better every day.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. Being given the opportunity again with Mike and his company, it feels good, man. So I'm ready. I'll actually my first match back will actually be in Merced. So so that's the big drop right there. I think
You
everyone's
have a
gonna be.
date?
So a date, yes. So June 18th.
June 18th.
June 18th.
It's after Ashley's birthday. You know where we going, babe?
So June 18th in Merced, California at American Legion Post. I'll be there. And my character is a subsidiary of who I am. I created a website years ago before I even started pro wrestling called BrandonP.net. And I dubbed myself the internet sensation, BrandonP.net.
The shirt.
And the shirt right there. So it's come full circle. And BrandonP.net was this website that I created. And a lot of people are like, why do you have a website? What? You're not even wrestling yet. And I started doing it. And people hated it. They were like, this.
He was ambitious.
They were like,
He knew
oh,
what he wanted.
it's stupid. Why do you have this? And I was like, man, my internet name gets more attention than I do. So I'm like, I'm switching my freaking name. So of course I was going by my name because that's the cool thing to do. You want to be recognized for who you are. I was like, nah, my name is BrandonP.net. So my website became who I am. My whole move set, it's just is around that. So it's really cool, really fun. I'm excited. I'm really excited to get back to Merced. Merced has a lot of freaking great people. Yeah. Their fans, as soon as they saw the news break online, they were just going crazy saying, oh, we can't wait till you come back. And, we're going to pack the house. Like,
we got to go.
Yeah, it's been really good, man. Like,
you won't be here.
I won't be here.
Oh, no. Man.
He will.
June 18th.
Y'all go. Go make a vlog.
Yeah, it's good, man. Like I said, I'm excited. That's one of the best wrestling towns in California.
Yeah.
They're really behind the product and what we do.
That's so awesome.
It's good, man.
I have to ask, just thinking about the wrestling aspect of it, how bad does it hurt? When you get slammed and stuff?
Good question, man. Because Logan Paul just talked about it.
He did, yeah.
So pro wrestling is 100% real. The biggest BS that you'll hear is like, oh, it's fake. Being in the pro wrestling industry and all the friends and family I've been able to meet through pro wrestling, they'll agree it's real. The injuries that you sustain, the falling down, the moving, all the work that goes into it, it takes everything out of you.
Wow.
There's some things that I guess you could say that aren't exactly, true in pro wrestling, but at the same time, it goes along with the territory. It's a lot of hard work, and the ones that do well with it, they probably have the most pain. And the only ones that would disagree about it not being as real as it could be are the ones that probably didn't make it.
Yeah.
So, but pro wrestling is amazing. It's real. I think at the time your adrenaline's so high up, you don't feel anything, and the next day it's like a crazy workout. But yeah, man, it's good.
I mean, one of your first experiences, you got busted in the nose. So.
Yes,
busted in the nose.
Clearly, it ain't fake.
Yeah.
Just to kind of like wrap things up here, because we want to respect everyone's time. If there's something that someone's listening to, what I've heard the entire time is believe in yourself. Don't take no for an answer.
You versus you.
And it's you versus you. And you have like this, I don't give up. If they say that this is the top, well, I want to go higher than that. What's something that you can leave whoever's listening to, leave them with a nugget, something that they can lean on when they're feeling like this is all I got left?
Believe in yourself. There's so many things that I have believed in myself that at times it's, how would I put it? I'll try to make as clear as I can. Have you ever been writing something down and you write a word that you know is spelled correctly, but because you wrote it down, you keep reading it, you're like, it's incorrect. It's incorrect.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where you believe in yourself ends up becoming almost self-doubt.
Wow.
Because you keep believing in yourself, and then you keep believing in yourself so much that you're like, maybe I can't do it. But you just have to like think through the fog and understand that, continue on your mission and do what you set out to do. So many people, at the end of the day, it won't matter whether I'm sitting next to you guys or anybody else. And I'm not saying you guys aren't nice people or care, but my livelihood won't matter if you live tomorrow or if you have food to eat tomorrow. So you got to just continue doing you, and you have to look out for yourself, but in the most humblest way possible. Yeah. And you're not trying to be rude to anybody, but you got to provide for what you're providing, and I want to be able to eat with people that want to eat too. And there's nothing wrong with other people doing what they're doing, but that's why I said that word at the end of the day, when you keep reading over and over, you're like, it's incorrect. That's the self-doubt that you put in your mind when you believe in yourself too much. But it's not a bad thing, but it just starts to become foggy at times, that you just got to clear your head out and continue on your mission, continue on your journey, do what you're set out to do. And is it hard at times? It's always hard. There's never been a point in my life where the going got easy. The day it got easy is the next day it got hard. It just keeps preparing you for what you're going to do. Yeah. But no, just believe in yourself, even when it becomes cloudy, and keep doing what you know how to do.
Yeah,
that's good.
Clear the search history, clear the cache, and keep moving forward. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good analogy. I like the word.
Yeah,
I'm still in that.
It plays to a lot what we're dealing with, even with the podcast. We talked about that today.
Yes, we did.
Just like we want to be past what our comfort level is, and that self-doubt starts to creep in a little bit.
Yeah,
it's a good word to, even for us, just in the room. So yeah, thank you for that. That's awesome.
Man, thank you for coming on. This is not the last time you're gonna see him.
No.
We're gonna actually do one at the gym. We're gonna work it out to where he works us out.
Let's do it.
And I want these dudes hurting at the end of the day, like I do sometimes.
We're gonna take this show on the road. We're not only gonna do it at the gym, but I'll put it out there. We'll do one where we're mic'd up and we get in the ring.
Oh yes,
so,
let's go.
I'm like 12 years old again. Let's go.
Bro, I'm gonna put him in a singlet like Kurt Angle, bro.
That's it.
I'll go out there in some whitey tighties, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm down.
Yes, let's go. That'll be sick. I might die, but it is gonna be fun.
Hey, I'd be so down. Man, yeah, that sounds like fun.
Well,
that would be a dream come true.
Yeah,
it would.
There you go.
Well, you heard it. So, Brandon, thank you for coming on, and all his stuff will be, of course, down here. Make sure you get some of his merch. You can follow him, follow High Five Fit Club, and see what they're doing. So, this is your boy Nemo, and we'll see you guys later.
See y'all.
Peace out, guys.